The F-35 Lightning II is often called a flying supercomputer. It is stealthy, supersonic, and forms the backbone of the free world's aerial defense. But it hides a massive supply chain vulnerability inside its airframe. Defense estimates suggest that building a single F-35 can require upwards of 900 pounds of rare earth materials. This includes the heavy metals needed for its advanced radar, targeting lasers, and the powerful magnets that control its flight surfaces. Here is the terrifying reality. For the last 2 decades, China has controlled the vast majority of the global processing capacity for these specific metals. If Beijing decided to embargo these exports tomorrow, the production of American fighter jets, guided missiles, and nuclear submarines would face an immediate, catastrophic bottleneck. The Pentagon knows this, and they have been frantically trying to rebuild a domestic supply chain from scratch. The center of that reshoring effort is a single, massive open-pit mine in the California desert. The company is MP Materials, ticker MP. They own Mountain Pass, the only major, fully operational rare earth mine in the United States. This isn't just a commodity stock. It is an industrial policy darling, backed heavily by the Department of Defense and Apple. Today, we are doing a full deep dive into the ultimate anti-China trade. To truly understand the value of MP, you have to look at the history of Mountain Pass. Located just an hour outside of Las Vegas, this specific plot of land was once the undisputed king of the rare earth industry. During the 1960s and 70s, it supplied the entire world. However, when China flooded the global market with cheap minerals, they crashed the price and drove the mine's previous owners into bankruptcy, leaving the facility dormant. But geopolitical shifts didn't change the underlying geology. The rock here is still world-class, boasting a rare earth oxide grade of roughly 7% to 8%, which is massively higher than most global competitors. MP Materials purchased this asset out of bankruptcy in 2017 for their first few years of operation. They were forced into an embarrassing dynamic, mining American rock, putting it on cargo ships, and sending it to China to be refined. They are now actively ending that dynamic by finishing Stage 2 and Stage 3 of their master plan, bringing the refining and magnet manufacturing entirely back to American soil. A common misconception is that China dominates this sector simply because they have more mines. The truth is, digging the dirt out of the ground is the easy part. The real bottleneck, the reason China holds a monopoly, is the separation process. Rare earths consist of 17 different elements that are chemically almost identical. They are baked together in the rock-like ingredients in a sponge cake. To separate highly valuable neodymium used for magnets from cheaper lanthanum, you have to dissolve the crushed rock in powerful acids and run the solution through thousands of mixer settlers. It is a chemical nightmare that is toxic, expensive, and incredibly difficult to engineer. China spent 30 years mastering this specific chemistry. MP Materials has spent the last 4 years rebuilding this exact capability at Mountain Pass. Having recently achieved record production of separated NdPr, neodymium, praseodymium oxide, they have proven they can run the kitchen, not just the quarry. Now, let's talk about the financial safety net that separates MP from speculative mining juniors. In the investing world, everyone loves a put option, a built-in insurance policy that limits your downside risk. MP Materials has secured the ultimate put option, the United States Department of Defense. In July 2025, the DoD announced a massive funding and support package for the company, including hundreds of millions in financing and loans. But the most critical part of this government intervention is the price floor guarantee. The DoD essentially guaranteed a baseline price of $110 per kilogram for MP's NdPr oxide over the next decade. Historically, China has used predatory pricing the spot price to $50 or $60 to bankrupt Western competitors. The Pentagon has effectively stepped in to say, if the market price drops to $50, we will subsidize the difference to keep you alive. This removes the single biggest existential threat to the stock. The demand for these materials extends far beyond the military. Big tech is equally desperate for a secure supply chain. If you open up an iPhone, you will find it is packed with rare earth magnets, powering everything from the camera's optical image, stabilization, to the speakers and the taptic haptics engine. Apple, notoriously obsessed with controlling its supply chain, does not want to rely on a geopolitical rival for these critical components forever. To solve this, Apple announced a massive $500 million deal with MP Materials in mid-2025. They aren't just placing an order for magnets, they are co-developing a closed-loop recycling ecosystem. MP will take old, shredded iPhones, extract the degraded magnets, and chemically recycle the rare earths back into fresh, high-grade magnets for new devices. When the most valuable consumer brand on Earth writes a $500 million check to a mining company, it provides an undeniable ESG stamp of approval to the wider market. The final piece of this industrial puzzle is Stage 3, magnets. MP Materials is currently building a massive state-of-the-art manufacturing facility in Fort Worth, Texas. This factory is where the refined oxide from California is transformed into finished NdPr magnets, ready to be installed into electric vehicles and weapon systems. They have already locked in a foundational deal with General Motors to supply magnets for 500,000 EV motors annually. By late 2025 or early 2026, when this factory is fully ramped up, MP Materials will achieve a monumental milestone, becoming the first fully vertically integrated rare earth company in North America. The supply chain will flow from a mine in California to a refinery on the same site, to a magnet factory in Texas, and directly to an assembly line in Detroit, completely bypassing the Pacific Ocean. We have to look at the financial realities, and for the last few quarters, they have been painful. If you review MP's earnings throughout 2024 and early 2025, the income statement looks ugly. Revenues dropped and profit margins vanished. This was the result of a brutal combination. Global rare earth prices crashed due to Chinese oversupply. Exactly while MP was spending billions in capital expenditures, CapEx, to build their new refining and magnet facilities. This is the textbook definition of the J-curve. The company is currently navigating the valley of death, where heavy spending drags down the stock price before the new high-margin revenue streams from finished magnets can begin. However, their underlying operational metrics, specifically the record volumes of mined and separated ore, prove that management is executing on the physics even while the commodity cycle punishes the stock. Investors buying in now are betting on the upward swing of that J-curve. MP Materials is a direct financial wager on deglobalization. If you believe the US and China are destined to repair their trade relations and the world will return to buying the cheapest global goods possible, this stock will struggle against foreign margins. But if you believe the new Cold War is a permanent reality and that the Pentagon will pay whatever it takes to keep American fighter jets in the sky, then MP Materials is the most critical strategic asset on the continent. They have the geology, the government backing, and the corporate partnerships. Now they just have to survive the J-curve. Is this the ultimate made-in-America trade or a risky commodity trap? Let me know in the comments. And if you enjoyed this deep dive, check out the KO-Fi link in the description. Remember, this is not financial advice. You're watching Stock Teller, where every ticker has a tail.